Have you ever wondered what the human mind would do if it were denied the chance to dream? What happens when sleep isn't just interrupted, but removed entirely? Tonight, we open the darkest chapter of Cold War paranoia, human experimentation, and one of the most terrifying urban legends ever whispered across the internet. This is not a story for the faint of heart. This is a descent into madness, into scientific obsession, and perhaps, into something darker than any of us could imagine. You're watching the grim tapes, and tonight we ask the question, was the Russian sleep experiment real, and what really happened in that sealed room? Part 1, The Legend Begins. The story first surfaced in 2010 on a Creepypasta forum. It described a Soviet-era experiment that allegedly took place in the 1940s. 5 political prisoners were promised their freedom if they agreed to be locked in a gas-sealed chamber for 30 days, with only one condition: they must stay awake the entire time. A powerful stimulant gas was pumped into the chamber to ensure their wakefulness. What followed, if you believe the tale, was nothing short of psychological and physical horror. At first, everything seemed fine. The prisoners talked among themselves. Their behavior was observed through one-way mirrors. But as the days dragged on, something began to change. Part 2, Descent into Madness. By day 5, the prisoners stopped talking to each other. By day 9, they started screaming, then silence. By day 15, the researchers couldn't believe what they were seeing. The inmates had mutilated themselves, ripping open their own flesh, pulling out organs, and stacking them in the center of the room as if forming some kind of grotesque offering. They showed no signs of pain, no desire to stop. One prisoner was found with his vocal cords destroyed, apparently from screaming too much. Others were missing skin and eyes but remained alive. Yet they begged, not for release, but for the gas to stay on. Part 3, Rooted in Reality. Is it even possible to survive such trauma? Could the brain operate without sleep for 15+ days? Neurologists have long studied the effects of sleep deprivation. Hallucinations begin after 24 to 48 hours. Psychosis starts to set in after 72 hours. Physical breakdown begins by day 5. But could this level of mutilation, combined with cognitive awareness, really happen? This is where fact and fiction blur. Part 4, The Gas. The story never names the gas used, only that it was an experimental stimulant. However, we do know that in real history, Soviet scientists experimented with sleep deprivation and chemical enhancement. Substances like amphetamines were tested in wartime conditions to keep soldiers awake longer. What if they took it too far? What if they pushed beyond science, and into madness? Part 5, Similar Experiments in History. Let's not pretend governments haven't conducted horrific experiments before. Project MKUltra, CIA mind control tests using LSD and psychological torture. Unit 731, Japanese military experiments involving live vivisections. Tuskegee's syphilis study, U.S. government left black men untreated for decades to observe the effects. So is it really that hard to believe something similar could have happened behind the Iron Curtain? Even if the Russian sleep experiment is fictional, it may be inspired by things far too real. Part 6, The Ending of the Story. According to the original Creepypasta, the experiment ended in violence. When the gas was removed, the subjects screamed and begged for it to be turned back on. They claimed they needed it, that they had become something else. When one of the last survivors was asked what they were, he allegedly replied, "We are what you made us. We are the madness that lurks within you all." And with that, he died. Creepy? Yes. But also disturbingly poetic. Part 7, The Psychological Dimension. Let's explore what might really happen under these conditions. Sleep is essential for mental stability. Without it, paranoia sets in. Memory collapses. Hallucinations begin. People become irrational, even violent. In extended experiments with sleep deprivation, up to 11 days, participants reported vivid hallucinations, memory blackouts, emotional numbness, loss of identity. Could the prisoners have believed they were transforming into something else? Could the gas have only been a trigger for what the human mind is capable of in extreme isolation? Part 8: Internet Impact. Since its creation, the story has been adapted into short films, animations, books, and podcasts. It became one of the top creepypastas ever written. But why does this story haunt us so deeply? Because it suggests that the real horror doesn't come from monsters, it comes from us. From science gone wrong. From minds broken by isolation. From governments that see people as tools. It's a modern Frankenstein tale, but darker. Part 9: Could it be real? Here's where things get interesting. A few alleged, leaked documents from Soviet archives have circulated online, claiming to reference sleep deprivation chambers. But none have been verified. Some conspiracy theorists say the real files were destroyed. Others claim they were never digitized. Could that be intentional? Part 10: Analysis of Belief. Urban legends like the Russian sleep experiment gain power because they live in the shadows of doubt. They have just enough truth to feel real. Just enough fiction to stay hidden. They tap into our fear of authority, isolation, mental collapse. And they ask a chilling question. What would you become if you never slept again? So what do you believe? Was the Russian sleep experiment just a terrifying internet story? Or is there a buried truth beneath the myth? We may never know for sure. But one thing's certain. The human mind, when pushed to its edge, can become the greatest horror of all. Before you go, we want to hear from you. Do you think an experiment like this could have actually happened? What do you believe the mind is capable of under extreme sleep deprivation? Why do you think stories like this stay with us so long? Leave your answers in the comments, we're watching them closely. If this deep dive kept you thinking, and maybe chilled your spine, then subscribe to the Grim Tapes for more terrifying legends, dark history, and mysteries the world forgot. Like this video if it kept you hooked. Comment your theories. Share this with a friend who says they're not afraid of the dark. Until next time. Stay safe. Stay curious. And maybe tonight, get some sleep.